Hey, everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture. And we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I have with me cosplayer DJ Croft, who was involved in my Kickstarter campaign last year. So, welcome back to the show, man. It's been a while.
Hey, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a journey, actually. Like my personal life has been a journey since last time I saw you. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for having me, like always. You're awesome.
Yeah, no, I love being told that I'm awesome.
You are awesome, Andrew. Double A.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, we were speaking a little bit backstage, and you got a lot going on, and
Yep.
up to a bunch of stuff. But I definitely want to talk about the thing that I think opened up a lot of these doors, and that was cosplay, the TV
Yes.
show slash the Twitch show, the internet show. I don't know how to accurately describe it, but it was a very prominent show on Twitch.
Yes.
An interesting cosplay competition. I'm not exactly sure the rules of it. It was a little wonky, in my opinion, them explaining it, but it got you a lot of press. So, how did you get involved with them? Because that's what really opened up your world in so many ways.
Yeah. So I was just scrolling through Twitter one day and I saw something. New Twitch show audition now. If you're an amazing cosplayer, submit photos. So what's so funny about it is I actually scrolled past it at first. I was like, okay, whatever. Then I went home and talked about it. I was like, hey, I saw something on Twitter about some kind of cosplay competition. And so I was told, I was like, hey, you should go back to that Twitter status and actually apply to it. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should give it a shot. So I went back to on Twitter and found the status that I, purposely scrolled by without even reading it. And I read it this time for the second time. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna apply for this. So I applied for it, and then a week later I got, announced that I was gonna be a cast member on the show because the host, the creator, Jeremy Carey, he's a former drag queen, famous drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. Um, if I'm
Oh,
not mistaken, he was. You said what?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So his Drag Race name is Fifi O'Hara, and if I'm not mistaken, season 3. He actually made it to the top 3, but he changed his name to Jeremy Carey because he doesn't really do drag anymore. But he the one who selected me because he liked my gender bend cosplay, and that's pretty much what I'm known for. I'm known for my gender bend cosplays that I make, and particularly Laura Croft. And I actually just made a new Laura Croft cosplay this week. Actually, is actually sitting over here next
Oh,
to
well,
me.
I just want to let you know, DJ, you're not taking this crown. You're not taking this crown.
I'm not taking your crown. We have 2 different crowns. Your
No, 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 no.
crown,
That is Sharon Needles. That is Sharon Needles.
Sharon Needles. You know what? Your crown is different from my crown. We can't compare the two. Yeah.
Somebody's gonna get that joke eventually.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the way they read shade on that show. That's like the ultimate way how you can learn how to diss people. Oh, it's
Oh,
just
I'll to my drag race.
yes.
Oh,
I don't watch Drag Race, but I do watch the clips of them throwing shade at each other. And I think
yes.
it's so funny. And
Yes.
you say something that's slightly offensive, but I think the bigger queens are the most savage. They're the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
savage. Like
Yeah, they
who
are.
would tend to think they wouldn't be? And oh, do they go to town and it's just brutal. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a nice diversion for you, everybody. But yeah, even going into this, so what was this like? Because you come into this competition and there's challenges, there's a lot of other things. And what was this like? Because at that point, and I say this, you were still relatively small. A few people knew who you were, but there were other people on that show who were much bigger, and you're coming in, and then it opened up that door in a lot of ways. So what was that like? Because it was for you and a few other people a real spotlight, and for some other people they were sort of accustomed to it. I felt.
Yeah. So for me, you know what? It was kind of a way for me to prepare myself to take my cosplay to the next level. Because the thing about me is like I've always I always want to progress, not degress. And whatever I do. And cosplay is a big passion of mine. And I mean, hello, I'm on here with you. So I've clearly made some progress, you know. So it actually what it did was actually open up the doors for me to start challenging myself. Because in order for me to grow, I have to be in uncomfortable circumstances. And what that entails is being around people that I may not be so comfortable around. Not that I was physically around them because it was a digital show, but I did see other competitors that were, maybe had like a few more followers or they were maybe a little bit bigger. But I took that as like an opportunity. I took advantage of that opportunity because I'm like, hey, I'm on the same platform with them. I'm on the same level as them. So I have to I have to bring it. So that's pretty much what I did. I kind of created new looks every week. The show.
Let's even talk about that a little bit because obviously, I mean, the cosplay world has gotten very interesting in the last, 3 years, really some from the start of COVID, where a lot
Yeah,
of new people have entered
yeah,
and a lot of market share. And I don't think this is a secret. I might get you and me both in trouble, but a lot of the top cosplayers lost market share. They lost some, I don't want to say credibility, but some stance is a good word to use. And so, because if you look at some of the top ones, they lost some followers. And also, I think the fact that a bunch of them left and kind of ran into hiding to some degree
yeah,
of what was going on. They weren't doing cons, and that is an issue. Now they're trying to rebuild it. And obviously, I mean, rebuilding from 900,000 to a million followers isn't that big of a leap from going from 1 to 1 million. But even still, I think there's been also a lot more people that have now entered. And there's a lot of people who have 15, 20,000 that have garnered big fan bases. And obviously, I feel you're part of that wave where this is almost generation three of cosplayers and Instagram and cosplay. And it very much, I started noticing you at the start of COVID as well. And so that's where I go, where there's this generation COVID cosplayer who has taken market share. So what is that like for you? Because that's where I view you. And
hmm
you came in at a really, really interesting time into the cosplay world.
yeah. I think I did. I've been cosplaying since like mid tens, like 2016 or whatever. But I feel like I didn't really, really, you know, I didn't really, I guess, would you say, have my big break until like a couple of years ago during COVID. Because I mean, although I was still working, I still had more free time to make costumes. So I took that time to actually learn better skills, how to perfect my skill, my craft, and also do research on when the best times to post my photos, because that's really important as a cosplayer, especially if you really want to grow and reach a new audience. You have to know the correct time to post in order to reach people. So it allowed me to take time to do research and to better my skills and to like know how to operate social media better, in order for me to get to the next stages of my life with my cosplay, and I think it's been a great journey so far for me, through COVID. It allowed me to perfect my skills a lot more.
I think in a lot of ways, somebody said it to me, and he's a wrestler. He said, COVID put everybody at the starting line again. And those who put in the work and worked hard throughout COVID, and we have some of it still spinning in and some of it still spinning out. They're the ones, once this all clears out completely, are going to be the ones that are ahead. And I've seen it with a bunch of wrestlers. I've seen it with cosplayers. I've seen it with a lot of other people. And so it's a very interesting thing. But to spin this back to the show, I do want to talk about some of the stuff that was done in the show. And this is one of the ones that I believe was done in the show. And this
Yeah,
is an original one that you did. I think it's Mr. Robot Man or Mr. Machine Robotic Man.
yeah, Machine Man. Oh my gosh, I love that look. I love that look. Yeah.
So
So
what's the story behind this? Because I
so
know this was original, but also there was a challenge and all that stuff.
yeah, so that was crazy. Okay, we had a week to make a cosplay costume out of unconventional items, meaning non-cosplay supplies. So what that entails is you can't use EVA foam, typically what people use, no Warbler, no type of craft foam, nothing. You have to use unconventional items. So things like water bottles or like curtains or plastic cups, spoons, tissue. So I was like, you know what? Let me be original. Let me come up with something. And honestly, I did not know what I was coming up with until the very end, until I got done making a costume because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some spoons. I'm gonna some plastic spoons. I'm gonna melt off the handle and just have like the egg shape to attach, onto the cardboard, for like so it can appear as armor. And then I was like, let me go to Home Depot and buy like some vacuum pipes and some weird like screws and some other stuff, cardboard. Actually, I'm very experienced with cardboard. When I first started cosplay, I actually was working with cardboard. So when Jeremy was like, "Hey, you can use cardboard spoons," I was like, "Okay, I got this." Because when I first became a cosplayer, I was using cardboard. I was like, experimented with it already. And actually, the new backpack I just made from scratch, it's actually made out of cardboard. It's for my new cosplay that I'm gonna be doing a photo shoot this year for. It's the new,
Let's even talk about the cardboard stuff
yeah,
because I've seen people do weird stuff with a lot of different things in cosplay. But
yeah,
what was this like coming into a competition, and this week in particular, where you couldn't use regular items, but you could use cardboard? And knowing that you're good at cardboard and understanding it, and also understanding that you could use cardboard, and you could double pack cardboard, and then you could build things on top of cardboard.
yeah,
Because I don't think the point of the competition there this week was to be comfortable, for lack of a better word. It
correct.
was to look good, which is a very different discussion. If you
Yeah.
want comfortable cardboard, I mean, that's an art in of itself. But even still, what was this like knowing that, cool, we could use cardboard? Because it is a very basic block of cosplay, I feel, building
Yeah.
stuff out of cardboard, even if you're only using it to model it, and then you're going to put EVA foam around it or replace the cardboard with EVA foam. I feel like you need to know that basic block.
Yeah. So okay. So let me just understand your question to make sure I got it right.
What
'Cause-
was it like knowing that you had an advantage? Is what I'm asking here,
oh,
because you're like a
okay, okay,
cardboard wizard.
okay. Yeah. I was like, okay, I got this because I know how to work with cardboard. Now, what was challenging for me is I never used spoons, and I never used like vacuum pipes. I never used water bottles. I never used hair curling rods. If you can put that picture back up, I can describe everything that's on this cosplay look here. So of course you see the vacuum pipes, the black pipe. So it's kind of like a living machine. So I'm like a living robot machine. So you see those tubes with all the red stuff in it. That's actually food coloring in water because food coloring in water is unconventional, and that's something that you can find in your house. So that basically, so you see those tubes and all that stuff. So that's basically like my oil. That's like the robot version of like blood, that keeps me going, the fuel. So you see that it's running through my body and stuff like that to keep me, you know, up and running. Um, then I see, the plastic bottles right over there on the side. That's supposed to be like the juice that comes out, that runs through the tubes throughout my machine body, that gives me a fuel, you know. And then the spoons are the little armor pieces you see right there on the side. And then yeah, I made it look like I was a machine,
Yeah.
it's pretty tough. And we had to make this in 6 days.
So,
Okay.
so let's even talk about that too, because obviously there's a few more that I'm going to show in a second here. But what is that like? Because obviously everybody has a different budget with this stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's a limit on budget, or obviously there's a limit on what you can and can't use, but everybody has a different budget. On top of that, everybody has different time constraints, and you have
I know
six
I
days
did.
to make something, and from conception an idea to actually conceiving it, what was that like too? Because I think that's something that people don't understand is that building a traditional cosplay could take a while depending on how intricate you want to go.
Yeah. So it was stressful. It felt like a lot of pressure on me because I was like, you know what? If I fail this, like I'm gonna look stupid, and I don't want to look stupid, you know. And then I'm also thinking about my other competitors too. I was like, you know what? I don't want them looking better than me. So I'm gonna try to like come up with something that's unique than no one has done before. So it was pressure. Each week was pressure because he would hit you with something like, "You're gonna create this week," and then I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I got to make something that I'm not comfortable or used to make. To, I'm sorry, to making. Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge. But you know, so it just felt like pressure, you know. And I was a tough boy. I kind of got through it. So
Yeah, so let's even go further into this because you did this one too, which is
yes,
Earth and Space, I think.
yes, that's exactly what it is.
And so obviously that's a lot more, negative space, probably a little bit more makeup. It's a little bit of a different approach, I feel, at the cosplay than the traditional of you building a whole ensemble and set. It's more of how can you morph yourself. And obviously it's a part of cosplay, I think. There was this one too that you did that
Oh,
is more the traditional, I think,
yeah,
realm of cosplay.
yeah, I love
And
that.
then
I
this
love
one
that.
as well, I think, was also more traditional.
Yeah,
And that's Ronald McDonald and
yeah,
super sociopathic Ronald McDonald. So
yeah,
what was this like?
yeah. You see
Because
his eyeballs like sagging out of his eye. Yeah.
so yeah, so what was this like? Because obviously, I mean, it just showed four different cosplays. All of them were relatively built quickly, and three of them are somewhat similar, in which that they're more traditional
Yeah.
as far as the build. But that Earth and Space one is definitely a whole different challenge in a lot of ways. So what was this like to have
Oh my God.
all these experiences? Because I
Oh no, you froze.
I think I'm back, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. You're back. You're back. You're back. Say it again.
I was just saying, what was it like to have all these experiences? Because pressure forces growth. And it's the idea that, diamonds are made out of coal when there's a lot of pressure there.
Hmm.
And so what was that like for you? Because these are all four different cosplays that all had a different challenge and niche and point. And relatively in 4, maybe 6 weeks, these were done.
Oh man. Whew. What it was like for me, it was craziness. Okay, I was sleeping less. But I think specifically for the makeup challenge, like I don't touch makeup. Makeup is not my expertise. So I was like, you know what? This week is gonna be a hard week for me because I gotta come up with some shit that's gonna be like amazing. So I just used my imagination. I was like, you know what? I like geology. I like Earth. I like astrology and stuff like that. So how about how about I make a connection between Earth and space because Earth is made from space, so why not show the correlation to that? So I actually took a piece of paper, I drew my sketch, I drew how I want it to look, how I want certain things to be. By the way, I still have those insects that I put on my face. They're in my storage somewhere. I don't know where they're at, but they are the coolest. They are the coolest little things that I've bought. But I never play with them. Never. So I actually have to find them again. But makeup was a challenge. I had to learn how to like put on makeup. But and then I also have to shave all my facial hair off too to have like just smooth skin. But I kind of learned that it's like painting cosplay pieces. Like on EVA foam and like on surfaces and stuff like that. Like I used my face as like EVA foam. Let me paint over my face, and add some glitter to it. Because that glitter that you see on this side for the space, that's like what space looks like, all those stars and stuff like that. And I had to learn how to glue things on my face. Um, so oh, I was not feeling good that week because I was like, you know what? I don't know how to do makeup. I'm gonna have to just come up somehow how to do this without looking stupid. but I mean, I mastered it, so that's kind of where I was, you know. Yeah, yeah. And then my Ronald McDonald cosplay that was actually inspired. That was actually inspired by one of the by I saw someone did something similar because that week was horror week. We had to take like an innocent character, fluffy, like a fluffy, cute character, and make them look scary. So I was like, well, I can do Pikachu, but I know I won't be passionate about it because I don't really watch, Pokemon that much. So I was like, let me do Ronald McDonald because I grew up loving Ronald McDonald. And I used to watch all the cassette tapes that you would get when they used to come out in McDonald's when you were a kid. Do you remember those? The Ronald McDonald Adventures, the little
I
cartoon
don't.
little
I
tapes.
don't. I don't remember those. It's weird.
But but I do have like memory with that Ronald McDonald. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a scary version of Ronald McDonald because I actually know the character. I'm passionate about the character. So that's where that idea came from. And I had like fake blood poured all over me too. And I've never done nothing like that in my cosplay career ever. So I just feel like each week I was hit with a different challenge that like forced me to elevate. Besides the gender band week, because I already do gender band, so that was easy for me to do. Yeah. And the cardboard, the unconventional. Yep, that's it. Gender band. That's me, Sailor Pluto from Sailor Moon. And I've never done an anime cosplay before. So that challenged me. I was like, I'm not really into anime, but I did grow up watching Sailor Moon. But I did not want to be actual Sailor Moon because everybody does Sailor Moon. I see so
It's
many cosplays of her.
everybody loves their little cute buns.
Yeah, so I was
I
like,
mean,
well,
I
let
mean,
me.
I mean, I mean, my favorite thing about Sailor Moon is her name is Usagi. Now, what
Yeah,
is a Usagi, right? A Usagi is USAGI. So it's United States of America General Infantry.
what?
So there's a comic called Cat Shit One, and all of the things in it are animals. So the
Mhm.
United States is in Vietnam, and we're rabbits because rabbit in Japanese is Usagi. So it's United States of America General Infantry. So it's the most brilliant thing because her name spells an acronym.
That is so awesome that you came up with that.
It's a brilliant manga. It's a brilliant manga. It's one of my favorite books of all time because it is so ridiculous and it is so topical. And so that's why I love Sailor Moon because her name is Yusaki, which is just means rabbit, but it's also USA General Infantry. So, but anyway, we all just want our buns. That's what we really want. That's all we really want. But anyway, I digress.
Oh wow,
This show goes on
that's cool.
tangents, everybody. That's what we do now.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
do that
no,
all the
I
time.
agree. I agree that Sailor Moon is overplayed way too much at cons and in cosplay.
So I didn't want to do her. I wanted to do another character that gets overlooked. So you know, um, I did a male version of Sailor Pluto. Although Pluto itself is not really one of my favorite planets, but I like planets in general. So I was like, let me just let me just do Sailor Pluto. Although the planet is freezing cold, ice, I was like, let me do Sailor Pluto because I never did that before. So
And so to even go further into this too, because this sort of opened up the door for you to come to New York Comic Con as well.
they sure did. Yep, I was a special guest at New York Comic Con, and we had a cosplay panel where we met fans of the show, and we asked, and people asked us questions and stuff like that. Um, and it was amazing. It was incredible. New York Comic Con is absolutely epic, and I'm going back again. I didn't go back. I didn't go this year, but I'm going to make sure to see if I can go this year because it was incredible being a guest, and then meeting Jeremy for the first time
Yeah,
in
yeah. Let's
person.
talk about that too, because obviously you were a guest. And
Yeah,
what was that like? Because New York Comic Con is a very big con. It's very busy, a lot of stuff's going on. It services a lot of people, a lot of different elements, both comics, pop culture, just people who say, I've never been to a Comic Con, also people who are diehard anime fans as well. And so, what was this like? Because now you're on a very big platform I think New York Comic Con surpassed San Diego. I think it's one of the largest pop culture conventions. I don't know if it's the largest convention in the world, but I know it's the largest, I think, comic convention.
I didn't know that. Okay.
What was that
Well,
like? Because crazy.
you know what? It was humbling. It was humbling. I'm a very humble guy. So no matter how big I make it, or no matter how many big gigs and like, special guests that I get, I'll always remain humble. It was humbling for me. I walked in there peacefully with the peace of mind. I didn't walk in there all stuck up and acting like I'm all that. I don't like cosplayers like that. I just walked in just appreciating and thanking my God for elevating me and like putting me on this, on this platform to do what I do. That's what it felt like for me. It felt like, this is what I was supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so I'm humbled about it, So that's how it felt to me.
And then even going further into this, obviously following this, I know you did Wizard World. I think you've done LA Comic Con.
Yeah.
You did Fan Expo in Chicago as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
so what was this like? Because becoming a guest is very interesting because it is a responsibility.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, when you're a fan, you could act one way. When you're a guest and a con is flying you out, they're bringing you out, whether you're being paid or it's a free ride and they're taking care of you, you have to act as a representative of that con. So you can't, for lack of a better word, you can't tell a fan to fuck off.
Oh, no.
But the thing is that as a fan, I can act differently, right? Versus if I'm a guest at a con is the point I'm getting at. And so what is that like? Because now you've crossed over where this is a job. You're being treated as a representative. So, and then also you have a booth and you're selling things and you're interacting and you might be judging something or you might be on a panel where you are a draw for the con to a degree. And so what is that like? Because that's a very complicated thing because it changes the way where now you're in business.
Yeah.
Being just a cosplayer. Now you are a brand. Now you are potentially selling tickets or you're answering a area where the con is weakened. And
yes,
what is that like? Because, and not to disparage, I'm not saying they're weak as in they did something wrong, but they realize that they need cosplay guests there, much like they need, a superstar celebrity there. But I digress.
Yeah, it felt a little. It feels a little like pressure, similar to cosplay, because as a special guest, you have to just keep in mind that, like, hey, I'm going into this professionally. So that means like being professional with everything, like being professional with other cosplay guests, being professional with the fans, being professional with myself, like how I carry myself, my mannerisms, and like my
I'll throw
demeanor.
something else. I'll throw something else at you. Not going to the hotel bar after and getting hammered.
No.
No. But you laugh at this. But there have been situations where a guest at a con went down to the hotel bar and got hammered, and then they weren't professional anymore. And that happens sometimes. And you think it's funny, but again, because and it's a Friday night, just because you're not on the con floor doesn't mean you're off duty. You are not off duty as a guest until you are back where you're ever at on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue. And a lot of people do not realize that if you're a guest at a con, you are a guest for 48 or 56 hours. You're not a guest for 8 hours.
So I think that's why it goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's why it's important to kind of go in with the mindset of being humble. Because if you don't go in being humble, you make these kind of mistakes and you end up losing, opportunities. You have to go in just being humble and being friendly and like not do crazy dumb stuff that's gonna cost you, your opportunities. It all starts there, Just be humble, like be thankful you got these opportunities, like not take advantage of it or not feel like you're better than other people. You can go get trashed and get drunk. No, none of that. Yeah.
And even going further into this too, I mean, what is it like for you to actually sell merch too? Because there gets to a point where somebody wants something that you created,
It's a
and
little awkward. It's a little awkward because like I never really like
or
intentionally.
that I created for
Yes,
us.
yes, yeah, yeah. It's a little awkward because I never saw myself in a position to be selling merchandise for my like cosplay career. But I've gotten used to it. You know, I like it because it just helps people, remember me and they have something to take home that with my essence on it. And just like it feels good. It feels good to know that people actually like what I do, you know?
It's interesting. So I had a friend, and he's still a friend. He's a good friend, Travis Gibb, and Travis is a comic writer. And when Travis wants to do, or I think he wants to, and I think I can say this, is he wants to become a brand. So he doesn't want to write for one company. He wants, oh, me, Travis Gibb, I'm on this book for company A, I'm on this book for company B, I'm on this book for company C, and company D or E and F might want to hire me for their book, and I'm all over the place. But it's once my name is on that book, I'm a brand. And so that's what I'm trying to do here is that this is a brand that when you come into a conversations and pop culture show, it's a brand. It's
Exactly.
not you're going to get a good quality interview, a good conversation, something entertaining, and a certain level. 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time. And I think that's where this goes back to is that when you're selling something or you're at a con, you're no longer a cosplayer, but you're a brand. You look at somebody like Jessica Nigeri, she's a brand in a lot of ways. And she's not necessarily a cosplayer. I think this is not saying she doesn't cosplay, but I think she's transitioned to become a brand. And I think
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's where you're kind of at, where you're making that leap. I feel at the very least. And I'm very curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that is like, so I want to make sure that I understood your question right. So can you maybe recap that a little bit for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So since you're going to cons a lot right now and you're guesting, you're in the process of going from being a cosplayer to almost you're a name brand. So DJ Croft is a brand versus a cosplayer.
That's
And
my name.
you do cosplay as an activity. So for instance, I'll give an example, right? Nike, when you hear Nike, you get images in your head without knowing what they sell, right? So I'm
Right.
wearing Nike shorts right now, but when you hear Nike, you think sports, right? You think athletics. And
Yeah.
so where the question I guess is rooted in is that's what I think is very interesting right now is that when you start becoming a guest and you start selling merch, you start transitioning from being, simply a cosplayer who has a lot of followers to now becoming a brand, becoming a certain standard, if you will. And
Mm.
so I'm curious how you feel even about that because I've heard it both ways where somebody says, look, I am the product and the product is me. I've heard that. And I've heard people say I'm a brand and that I do activities as a brand, but I am a brand. And so I'm just curious how you feel about that because it's a very interesting debate that's going on in everything right now.
Yeah. So how I feel about it is like it just feels amazing. It feels amazing to know that my hard work is paying off. You know, like it doesn't matter how many followers you have on Instagram. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million, 100 million, 100,000, or 4,000 or 10,000. As long as you are great at what you are doing and you are being recognized for that, the numbers don't mean anything. Because you can have like a million followers as a cosplayer and be mediocre. But then you have a cosplayer that actually puts time into making like their costumes and being passionate about it. And they may only have like 4,000, 5,000 followers, but those be the people that actually would go places in life because they are the ones that actually putting in the work and staying humble and not getting distracted with like the social media, statistics and stuff. So for me, it just feels like I'm doing my job. It feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Because if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, I wouldn't be getting, a lot of the opportunities that I have. And then I'll be sitting back questioning myself. What am I doing wrong? You know, but
Yeah,
however,
no.
that's not the case.
I think it's interesting. I think that there are people who are really good at social media, but they're really, really horrible people, and they're not that talented. They just happen to hit the right notes in the right area, but I do not think it's going to last. I don't. I think that, the best of the best always rises up. I also think that we're going to be going through a cycle where a lot of the fake people who have a lot of followers, and we've already seen it. We've seen it. I mean, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, oh yeah, I
I
met
don't
some. Oh
You
yeah, I met
scroll
some
through
fake
Instagram, right?
cosplayers.
You scroll through Instagram and there's one, telltale sign is when somebody doesn't show their number of likes on a video. When somebody actively turns off how many likes are on a video, that is a sign that their numbers on that particular post weren't great. When somebody has a bad post, but they keep their numbers up there, you can tell in a certain way that it's either really smart business advice or that they're sort of more down to earth. It's a big issue when somebody hides how much social media
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
traction they
yeah.
get
You know what?
post.
Yeah, you know what? And I've been seeing that lately with a lot of cosplayers that I follow. They've been hiding their likes. I'm like, how many likes you got, bro or sis? Me personally, I don't get a bunch of likes on everything I post all the time. You know, so but I don't care. Listen, if someone goes to my page and be like, "Oh, he only got what 64 likes on this. He's not an awesome cosplayer." Then you're freaking stupid because, like I said, numbers don't mean anything. I think people pay attention to numbers and not actual talent, and that's kind of sad, So
It's interesting because, sorry to interrupt you, but I speak a lot about comic book investing and I know so much information about it. And I have said it for years. I'm willing to speak for free for an hour. And I legitimately can change people's money perspective in an hour at a con. In 45 minutes or less, I could change somebody's money perspective and actually put them on a better track and get their brain thinking in a different way. And when I say to a con, I would love to present this to you. Cons shy away. So they're like, oh, you only have 800 followers on Twitter. You only have 3,000 likes on your Facebook page. You only have 500 people in your group. And I'm like, but you keep missing the point here is that I can fill a room with 60 people and change their perspective in so little time. And what I'm teaching is so influential. And I'm like, well, we'd rather give it to somebody who has 9,000 and is talking about something that has no merit on their economic future and is a stupid pound on like exactly the problem. And I think there's this idea where people want is reach and they want the potential. I was in a discussion with an anime company that sells t-shirts and they went out and hired a bunch of cosplay influencers. And I'm like, you don't get it. If I put an ad on a show that's going to be up there for the next 20 years and you're going to pay me $10 for that over the course of the next 20 years, your cost is going to be 0.0003 cents per day, which is ludicrously cheap.
mhm.
It's not even the price of a Terra Luna when it collapsed. Just to put that in perspective for anybody who's a crypto nerd like me. And I'm like, you're going to get over time a bigger rate of return, but like you don't have a big enough audience. And I'm like, you keep missing the point is that this audience is bigger than your influencer in the long run. It's permanent. And I think that's the biggest problem right now with social media and cosplay is that all this talent is missed because they quote unquote don't have the audience. And I think in comics and I think in a lot of areas, it's a problem. And then 10 years later, everybody's like, wow, you're really good at this. And you're like, yeah, I've been there for 10 years. And thank you for noticing now. And that's what I think is the biggest problem. That's
Yeah,
just
it's a big issue. It's a horrible issue. I think like it's just so shallow and so superficial. Like the people who already have thousands and hundreds of followers, let the new people come in, give them opportunities so they can get there too. Like one thing I don't tolerate in cosplay community is favoritism. With conventions, I don't like conventions showing favoritism by only selecting cosplayers that have a huge following or vice versa. Because listen, at the end of the day,
not about the following DJ. It's about their cup size.
They're cup size. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all people. No one's better or bigger than anybody else. When we die, we all going to the same place, 6 feet under, or if you keep
Down there, you mean down there?
yes.
Down there
So
with JFK.
yeah. So yeah, right. Oh, that's I want to talk
No,
about
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. Let me finish. Mark Twain's down there too.
Yeah.
Gronkowski's hosting. It's the biggest block party of the
Uh,
year.
yeah, I
You're
know,
lucky
I
to get an
know.
invitation. You're lucky to get an invitation down there.
Nah, I want to stay up here for a long, 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 long time.
I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm not
Uh,
saying a week from now. I'm just saying that when the time comes, me and my friends are all going to be down there and we're going to be hanging with Gronk. It's going to be great. Tom Brady will join us too, and Bill Belichick.
I hope so. I hope it's
Locked at the
great.
door. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I hope it's great. But it's just all about people. People need to stop. If I was running a convention, I'm looking for talent because I have talent. So I'm going to be looking for talent because I can relate to that because I know what it takes to make something, awesome. I'm not going to be looking at numbers and stuff like that. I think it's very shallow. I think we need to come to a stage in the cosplay community where we stop looking at numbers and look at facts, which are people with talent. Same thing with same thing on social media. I see that a lot of people with hot, sexy bodies, they get like thousands of likes, hundreds of followers, and they don't do nothing but just take cute pictures with their bodies out. And I'm like, people online are so brainwashed. They rather go like someone who has no talent, who just takes a picture because they're
There's
because
a saying.
because they're self-consumed within themselves to think they're hot, rather than liking showing support to people who actually create amazing things and
Well.
display it.
I'm going to give everybody a piece of advice, and it's going to be taken, and people are going to be angry with me. It happens in Miami all the time. You have all these girls who are 20, 21. They got amazing bodies. They get into the club for free. They're doing modeling. They're doing a bunch of other stuff. They have their OnlyFans. And guess what? 6 years later, they're washed up broke, whether they have a drug problem or not. It doesn't really matter. And then what winds up happening is that, I don't know why you're shaking your head at me, like a little scared.
No. Sorry, I'm not shaking my head. I'm just shaking my body. I'm just
No,
moving. That's
I
all.
thought I was on the wrong
Yeah.
track. But what
No.
happening is that their short-term money actually fades away. And so with people who just take cute pictures, that is a very short window. And unless you're saving your money and you're making a lot of money and making millions of dollars and investing it properly, you will wind up working in a 9-to-5 job. And by the time you are 30, and you will say, I had a great life 5 years ago, where the fuck did it go? And it happens all the time. And somebody said, that's cool. You can be pretty today. You can do whatever you want. You're going to be working in the subway I own. And
Yeah.
it's brutal. It's brutally honest. And I think that this is where it goes back to building a brand.
Building a brand.
When you have 50,000 people doing it at the same time, it becomes so problematic. And there you go. And I think that that's a big problem. And I think with cons, I think there needs to be a healthy balance. I was trying to do this in DC with Awesome Con. I was saying, look, you have these cosplayers. Why don't you have 3 panelists who've been with you for 10 years? And why don't you highlight them and treat them well? And why don't you guys take a $1,500 hit to make 3 people feel really good who have been there, or people who have been exceptional doing 6, 7 panels for you every single year? Why don't you take care of them for once? And why don't you highlight them? And why don't you actually honor them before every other celebrity? And why don't you say to your celebrities, these are the people who are the unsung heroes? And I wish that account would say right at the front of it, before anything else, say every panelist here is an unsung hero, and they deserve your thanks and applauds when you go see their panels. And I think it would be such a good thing, not even pay them, but even just openly say it before every single, celebrity or program gets mentioned. I think it'd be brilliant. I really do.
Yeah. And also I want to, yeah, that's great. And I also want to, piggyback off what I said earlier about the, what you said about the OnlyFans and all that stuff. Like, here's the thing about me. I want to be taken seriously on social media. I don't want people just looking at me as a sex object. Just saying. Someone they feel like they can hook up with. Like, I want people to take me serious. I want my talent that I do with my cosplays and costumes to like to what's what I'm looking for. I want that to translate that I am an awesome person. I don't have to always take off my shirt and show my underwear and pose like a model, just get like hundreds of likes, which I do have photos where I have put up a lot of my modeling photos that I did in the past. Some are in underwear, some are in swimwear. Right there you see my body, but I'm in cosplay. That's the difference, and that's the thing, I don't want to do myself a disservice, because when I get on social media, when I see the same people always posting those cute selfies, those bodies, and I'm just like, what are you doing? It's the same pose every picture. It's the
Hey,
same.
hey,
Like, it gets
I'm not
boring.
complaining. I'm just saying I'm not complaining. Every once in
I
a while,
mean,
I
I
get a
mean,
cute girl sending me weird
I'm
pictures.
not saying to take credit away from people who actually take care of themselves physically. They want to show it off. That's great, but I just think that people with talent on social media don't get enough representation.
See. This is what I think it is, though. Is people are looking for a train wreck on social media. There's no question about that. So at this stage in the game, I think what winds up happening, and this is just my thought process, is everybody wants, the Kardashians, right? That's what they want,
Mhm.
they want to bite into. But then you start maturing. So I just turned 30 today on January 10th, and when we're
Happy
filming this.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you. But if anybody's watching this later, obviously I'm now past 30. But the idea is that today I'm 30. So there gets to a point in life where you said, I get it. The Real Housewives, the Kardashians, it's fun to watch. If you're doing nothing and you want to just numb out, it's great. Then you say, I want to seek information. I think that's what starts happening, is that's when you start looking at other challenges. You start looking at finance challenges. You start looking at, how do I improve as an individual? How do I read faster? How do I think differently? How do I make, have a more meaningful life?
Yes.
And that's what I think starts happening when you start getting
Yes.
older. And then I think that stuff fades away. And that's why I think there are things that are interesting. But then again, some of these people have built a brand, I guess. But that's what they are. They're not a cosplayer anymore, or they've forgotten their cosplay roots because they're a business up front. And
Mhm.
it's a crazy entity. So I'm a business up front, but I love what I'm doing here, where this is very centric to what I'm doing. I come home, I had 25 minutes to eat, and then I'm live on the air for my job. And I actually had to reschedule an interview because it coincided with my job because of a weird scheduling thing. And I was very upset. But I love what I do, but it is a business. But I digress. I just think that there's so much stuff here, and I am definitely going to get controversial with it at some point with a bunch of male cosplayers. I think that's going to be interesting
Mm.
on a Friday night, probably in maybe 2 months from now. It's going to be
Okay.
a very spicy conversation, and shirts will be off.
I like spicy.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe metaphorically, maybe literally. I haven't decided yet. You can interpret that any which way, everybody. But again, I think that a way more uncensored conversation that'll get me and everybody else in trouble. Last week we spoke about AI art. This week we're speaking about bankruptcies in comics, and next week after this week we're talking about how to deal with bad actors on Kickstarter, and then we're going to talk about manga versus comics and how manga is
Mm.
American comics. And then we're going to talk about how many crowdfunders sites there are and why 90% of them are going to fail. So it's a very complicated show. It's called Embolden, the show, the idea, the
Mm.
future.
Oh wow, I like that. I like that. I love to hear that. I mean, that's exciting. I'm excited for that. I really, really am. And everything you're saying, everything you're saying is basically valid points. You're hitting you're hitting facts with everything you say. Like, I just see social media as a platform, well, I see it as a tool. to be able to express yourself and to be able to show the world what you can do. And I just feel like, I see social media. When I get on social media, I want to be taken out from the real world. So I want to see art. I want to see talent. I want to see that. I don't want to just see the same generic stuff all the time that we just talked about. So, like, and I just think, both of us have valid points where we're talking about here. So
I am not on social media all that often. I schedule a lot of social media, but I don't like being on social media. Like I don't like being on Twitter.
I don't like being on social media either. Fun fact about me is I don't like being on social media sometimes because it just becomes like a little over consuming sometimes. But the fact that I do what I do, I have to keep my pages active. I have to post new content. I have to post new cosplay. I have to do this. Otherwise, I kind of pretty much just fade away, and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
weird where I took a break from social media. It didn't really change anything for me. But also I schedule a lot of social media outward. I schedule like 60 days out
Oh
sometimes, and
wow.
then I don't look at it at all. And also I don't really care because I take a different approach where I am going to hit every little square inch and I'm going to carpet bomb you. And I've had stuff that has just gained traction very slowly. I've had YouTube videos that do the same thing. And so I don't really care about when I post. I care about the fact that it's there constantly. So that's something to keep in mind about that. But I digress. But I do want to talk about your calendar because you got a calendar.
I do have a new calendar.
That's
Yes.
the opening image. I just bought a calendar that is not appropriate to share, so I will not be sharing the calendar that I just bought. Amazing. Cubby Thompson is a very
So
special woman. But anyway, this is in the calendar. I know that.
yeah, so I have
This
the physical. I have the physical calendar.
this is in the
Yes,
calendar.
it is.
This is in the calendar.
Yes, it is.
This might be in the calendar.
Yes, it is.
That might be in the calendar.
Yes, it is.
This is not in the calendar.
No.
This is also not in the calendar.
Are you getting on my case? So, so Jill Valentine did not make it this year, but she'll be in the next year's calendar. Yeah.
So so this is my question because I have a friend Cap Santiago, and he did a calendar a little while ago, and he had a very hard time finding a photographer, where a bunch of male cosplay photographers did not want to shoot with a male, and I said
Which
that
is
was
so
sexist.
sexist.
It's so sexist, and I was
Yo, that's another conversation too that I want to have like at another time. I cannot stand male photographers that only take photos of women. First of all, first it comes off creepy and kind of like pedophilia in a way. If that's the word to use. Second, no, wait, that's probably not the right word to use. But anyways, it comes off creepy.
misogynistic is a good word.
Misogynistic. Yeah.
It depends though. It depends. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Let's
So
say you're Hugh Hefner and you're taking a photo and you run Playboy. You're not going to take a photo of a male for Playboy. That doesn't make any sense. If I'm filming a movie that the entire cast is women, or the entire cast is males, and I'm a male photographer, it's not misogynistic to say I'm only going to shoot men in my movie if it's a war movie like Saving Private Ryan. Where it gets weird is that when you have a really talented male cosplayer and a really talented female, and the male photographer says, I don't want to shoot you. It's weird when a female says, I don't want to shoot the male either. And then you're like, wait a second, though. If the issue is talent, shouldn't you want to work with both? Or is it that you feel that the female and you're making a business decision, but then you pretend it's not a business decision? Let's just call it what it is. That's what bothers me. What bothers me, I don't care. You say, Andrew, you're not big enough as a show. Then fucking say it. But they won't, because God forbid I become big enough. You don't think I'm not going to bring it up on my show with that person. They're trying to cover their ass, because all of a sudden now that you're bigger, like, oh yeah, man, I would love to work with you. But didn't you tell me a year ago? No, like, explain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens.
Yeah, me, I have no filter. I'll put people in their place. I'll tell it like it is. And if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it to you. If I was in that predicament, I would gladly be like, "Oh, you didn't want to work for me last year because what? I didn't have many followers." I'll be straight up. And like I can't stand photographers like that. I come across a lot of male photographers. I'm just like, are you serious? Like this comes off like you said, like kind of on almost like misogynistic. And you can be a talented male cosplayer but get overlooked by a photographer because you're not a female. So so you're thinking like, okay, my own sex don't support me. It's kind of like it's kind of like saying like, oh, black people don't support me, even though I'm black. That's how it feels. It feels like a slap in the face, and I don't think a lot of these male photographers kind of see it like that. They don't realize the psychological like impact that has on a professional, talented male cosplayer.
So
Because
I don't have a problem. I just want to call out honesty. I want honesty. See, I'll say to people, look, you don't qualify on my show. I'll say it openly. I say currently you do not qualify. Or I don't want to interview somebody who's writing a yaoi on my show. Nothing against you. There's somebody out for you, but I have no desire to interview somebody for my show about a yaoi. No desire to do it. It just doesn't work with me, right? It's not my audience. It's not my type. If somebody has a weird book about, drug use, I'm like, maybe. But again, not really my cup of tea. If you
yeah,
have a sci-fi military book where it's two lesbian pilots, I'm in. If you have it about two gay pilots, I'm in. If it's a straight, shoot 'em up mecha style thing, I'm in because it's mecha, it's military. I don't care about the fact that the other parameters, for lack of a better word, to me, that is not the basis of it. If that makes any sense.
hmm
So, like, if you're a talented female cosplayer, I'm happy to interview you. If you're a talented male cosplayer, I'm happy to interview you. If you only do some weird character of Doctor Who, I'm not a Doctor Who fan. It's probably
and
not going to work.
and I think that's where being humble kind of needs to start taking place because when someone rejects you because you're sex when it comes to cosplay, you got to step back and not allow the anger to get to you. You got to just step back and just be humble and be like, man, this guy's missing out on an incredible experience. Who knows? I could be someone that can open up doors for him with connections that I have. But because they're so close minded and only want to shoot with women, they miss out on a great opportunity when I could be friends with let's say Michael Jackson's photographer that I can connect you with. But no, but since I'm a male, you don't want to shoot me. So I don't think so. I think that a lot of these type of male photographers they don't realize they could be missing out on great opportunities by
I
shooting
think
males.
I think a lot of it is that I do a lot of research on my guests. So
Yeah,
I know who's who. I prep up for most of the time. I did a little prep here because I know you very well at this point, and we've had a lot of conversations both publicly and privately.
yeah,
But one of the things is that I'm very well aware of who my guests are. So I'm interviewing Bella Rockefeller on Friday night. She's an LFC fighter. She's great. She's a little tiger, right? I've
yeah.
done, I've done a lot of homework on her. I've done probably about 6 hours worth of research on her. So
Wow.
I know her in and out very, very well at this point. I also was speaking with Tommy Bell about her and a few other people that I'm close with and I have good relationships with. The point I'm getting at is I prep up so that when I know that she has connections that could help me.
Yeah.
And I get my connections and I get bookings that I normally shouldn't get because of that. And so, I think a lot of people do not understand business. They do not understand how to make connections and who you should bet on. And I've been very privileged because a lot of people that I've bet on have done very well and have taken those risks. And I'm not saying everything that I've done has been that way, but my employer took a risk on me, and somewhat I'm hoping that I'm going to pay off dividends for that. I'm hoping that I'm going to pay off dividends, but somehow something in my resume stuck out, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'll be fired tomorrow, but I highly doubt it. Yeah. I'm an essential part of the team, all jokes aside, but I think it's a real problem. I really do. And I think it's unfortunate because I think people look at a cup size and say, man, this girl's going to get me 600 likes on my Instagram. And then that's going to get me more traction. And then the next one, yet they don't know who I know. They don't know who you know. And then they're like, wait a second, who could this person potentially know? And maybe out of, 10 males that they could choose from, they pick two. And who knows, maybe they pick two that are the right ones. And all of a sudden they're now making a fuck ton more money because they're like, oh shit, I bet correctly. But that's just it. There's been plenty of people who have taken a shot on me for interviews saying, we'll take a shot. And they're like, dude, I was pleasantly surprised. If you go on my Twitter, there's an interview with Cash Daddies. And I can tell you for a fact, they were pleasantly surprised. And they're like, holy shit, this interview took something that I didn't expect. And they're like, you were a very different interview than we expected in a really good way. And the way that interview was handled and brilliantly, and the way I played into their frame, and I guarantee you that's probably going to be one of the best episodes they've ever recorded, hands down. And they're like, man, you made a good pitch, but we were kind of expecting it to go a little bit this way, but you were way above. And so that's my point.
Yeah. I mean, everything you're saying is valid.
Yeah, so the calendar. You got the calendar. That's good. Totally derailed the whole calendar situation again. This is the cover photo. There's
the cover photo.
This in there. There's this in there.
Yes.
This in there.
You know what? Out of all my costumes, I'm really proud of my Jason Voorhees costume. That is literally the cosplay that does not get a lot of likes on social media, which I don't really care. Because we talked about this earlier. I don't care. Listen, I put hard work into what I do. So that costume it took me a while to get done. I've always wanted to be Jason. He's my idol. I grew up watching him. Just a badass serial killer.
Well, this is my favorite, and this is what we're gonna end on.
Okay. I was freezing that day. I was freezing. It was February. It was like 40, 50 something degrees, and it was windy with no sun. I was freezing.
So I have to ask, do you have an Action number 9 by Grant Morrison by any chance?
What does that mean?
You don't know what that one is?
Wait, what?
Gosh, take away your Superman card right now.
Wait. What? Say that again.
New 52, Action number 9. It's either 8 or 9. I forget which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is that it's an ode to Obama to some degree, but they don't mention Obama at all in it. And it's a backup story where the president of the United States is a black man who's also Superman.
No, I never heard of that before.
It's an amazing like 6-7 pages. And it's not canon to the same degree as like a traditional Superman story, but it's a backup story in a comic. And so now what you have is that you have the president of the United States, and obviously it's a reference to Obama, as Superman. The chief of staff knows and his wife knows, right? Mm-hmm. So now he's dealing with nuke weapons and other issues that the military really can't deal with because it's international problems. Yeah. And so now he's flying across the world, taking out like some nukes and defusing them in midair. And then he has to sneak back in, change, and do a press conference. And it's epic. It's so good. And the only reason why I bring this up is because you're Black Superman.
I am.
So surprisingly, it's not an expensive book. It's like a $10 book on eBay. It's not expensive, but the whole thing is that it's a brilliant, brilliant book, because who doesn't want to read a good story like that? Like, it has nothing to do with politics. You know nothing about the president's politics. It's just that he's Superman as the president of the United States, and now he has to juggle the position of America and defusing new weapons and dealing with other problems, and he has to make it back in time for a press conference that he has to address. It's so like, it's just so like wholesome is the answer. And that's
that is a Superman. Thank you. That shot took a couple of tries, like 5 or 6 shots. I would jump up. He would say, nope, do it again.
You mean like 30 is what you really mean.
Something like that. And it was freezing. I was like, God damn, let me put myself in a position to get this damn photo right because I do not want to be standing out here jumping up and down the code. So I eventually got it right. And so we got the shot. And we're like, bam, okay, let's move on to the next shot. Yeah. So, yeah. One thing I won't do is do a photo shoot in spandex in 40-degree weather unless I have to. Unless I have to, again. Yeah.
Well, that is the one I want to end on. Um,
Okay.
and I do want to give you a chance though to self promote because I think we covered everything. We got you both me and you in trouble. Clearly that's how these shows go now. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people bother you, find you, social media, buy your calendar, your next con that you're going to, all sorts of fun stuff because you got a lot going on.
I sure do. So, of course, you guys know my name is DJ Croft. All right. So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, um, all those platforms with the same name. My calendar is available right now. So you go on my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. My calendar is actually pinned to my profile on each platform. So there's a link, there's a video I recently just did promoting it. So, or you could just go to lulu.com and then search DJ Croft calendar and it will be available right there. It's $15, guys. That's all it is. $15 US dollars. US dollars. Because I'm selling it in other countries too. But specifically US is 15. All right. So yeah, so that'll be amazing if you guys can support me by getting a calendar. And then if you get one, take a picture, tag me in it, and I will repost you. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say this too is that you have to support indie content creators, and that means that you have to follow them on social media, retweet them, like their Instagram, reshare Facebook posts, any other social media. TikTok's a big one. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but if you are, obviously going on TikTok, checking it out. I understand people are hemming and hawing about TikTok. It's a complicated topic. Again, not enough time for it. But yeah, you need to support people where they're at. And also when people have merch, you need to go buy their merchandise.
Merch.
It's a way how to support people. It's a way how to get something in return. When people have buy me coffees or Patreons, that's also a big deal, to support them as well. It goes a long way. And every dollar is a dollar more than they had yesterday. So keep that in mind when you're supporting indie content creation. I am also an indie content creator. So I appreciate when people buy me a coffee, when people buy my t-shirt, when people
Buy him a coffee.
Yeah, no, it means something. It really does. It is not cheap to run, shows, and it actually means something. And it's very important. If you would like to advertise on this show, that's another way how to support. And remember, ads on this show do not come down, so they are permanent ads. So obviously, I can sell you whatever you want. I can sell you the whole backdrop. I can sell you a live read. I could sell you some type of promotion. You can buy an issue. You could buy a whole spot every month if you so wanted to. More than happy to sell anybody anything they need for their business or their personal use. That is up to you. I can basically build you and sell you a whole interview if you so choose. But anyway, that's everything that is pretty interesting in that regard. So obviously that's everything I got. My social media is Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe. Please actually subscribe to my social media and check it out and follow me. It goes a long way. And on that note, that's everything I got going on. And so I will give you the final word.
Me, the final word.
Yes, the final word.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I get the final word. Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Pop Anime Comics. Thank you for having me, Andrew, once again. I should just become your co-host at this point because I'm always on here. but yeah, thank you for having me. Like, it really means a lot, Like, I love just being able to talk about my nerdy, goofy cosplay world that I live in. And with you, and I love that you support, and vice versa. So thank you for having me, and thank you everyone who tuned into this video to take your time to do that. So we look at so I'll be looking out for you guys. Don't forget the calendar, and please subscribe and follow me on social media. That's really important.
Yeah, and I think everybody, that is a wrap.